Welcome to Doc's Daily Dose for Dads, prescribed by Dr. Harrison. Hey, this is first long format podcast. I'm sorry it took me so long to get this up and running here. As you can see, I've got some, well, maybe you can't see. I don't know if I've panned out far enough, but I've got all my equipment set up here and got everything moving. But man, I've been to Best Buy like, I don't know, 8 times in the last week and a half. I don't know if there's a requirement for working there or working in certain departments, or if you're trained for that department, but not everybody is as knowledgeable as they should be. And excuse me if I'm sweating because it is hot here in California, and my studio is hot. I got to get myself an air conditioner in here that has no hum so that I don't pick it up on the recordings. But anyways, let's just say today I went and got a new monitor. And I spent like an hour with Geek Squad on the phone, and they couldn't figure out what was going on with my monitor, why it wouldn't play sound. Then I went and called actual Dell, where the monitor is made from. They couldn't figure it out for an hour and a half. I had already exchanged it 2 hours prior to calling them of the exact same model. And when I went in for the exchange, I asked the guy, like, hey, man, I got this monitor. The internal speakers aren't playing. Is that a glitch? Is this thing, what's wrong? He's like, no, it has internal speakers. Like, it should totally play. It just must have been a glitch. So now I'm yelling at the people at Dell, and they're like, sir, I don't know what to tell you. And after, bringing back the new exchange one, I end up going back to Best Buy, and I'm hot. I'm heated. I was on the phone for almost an hour and a half. I just exchanged for a brand new one. The same problem's happening. Dell can't figure it out. Geek Squad can't figure it out. Nobody can tell me. The dude at the store just told me this thing has internal speakers. Like, come on, bro. Like, I'm over here, using YouTube trying to figure stuff out, and no one wants to help me out here. I was so pissed off. And it was like 120 degrees inside the studio, and I was trying to figure all that out with electronics and it heating up. Oh, I hung the phone up with Dell because they said, we'll just call you back in 24 hours and see if it's a product malfunction. I drove to Best Buy. When I got there, I blazed the path straight to the computer department. And I stood there in the middle looking for the guy who just told me this thing had internal speakers. And I saw him, and he was standing on one of those ladders. And the guy who was at the register in the computer aisle, he saw me looking for somebody. And he hit his little button, and he said for somebody to come here, come help for something, because right when I spotted that guy on the ladder, I started to go after him to be like, man, I know you didn't just lie to me. I just came in here and exchanged this, and I've been on the phone for an hour in 120-degree weather. And as I was walking to him, this other guy came walking up like, oh, sir, excuse me. Are you okay? Is there anything I can help you with? Like, buddy, and his name is Eddie. Eddie, you are lucky. Your friend, who I was so pissed off that I couldn't get his name, he saved your ass. Because I was about to let you have it in the middle of the store, Eddie. I was on a rampage just because I had been in there so many times, and I specifically asked you that question, and you told me a very specific answer that was incorrect. Which goes to my point, let me just say this first. The new guy was like, nah, bro, there's no internal speakers. Monitors don't have internal speakers, at least not anymore. You got to get some external speakers. And I was like, wait a minute. I got to buy some more stuff. And he's like, well, what are you doing it for? I was like, I just needed to hear playback of my podcasts and my videos. And he's like, there's some $20 speakers that'll work perfect. Don't even trip. Got them. I bought them. But he saved your ass, Eddie. He really saved you. But the point is, same thing I tell my kids, Eddie. If you don't know the answer to something, don't act like you know it. Just say, I don't know, bro. I'm not sure. Let me go find out. Let me ask somebody who does know. My oldest one is always acting like he knows the answer to stuff. And it's like, bro, if you don't know the answer, don't act like you know the answer. Quite frankly, you sound stupid when someone else does know the answer and you pretend like you know. You don't know that answer. Tell someone you'll figure it out. I respect that a lot more than you lying to me about what you think the answer should be. So that's my story for why it took me so long to get this long format going, because I wanted to add video to it. I could have just done the audio, but I like looking at the camera, and I like you guys being able to see me. Now, with that said and all that done, welcome to the first long format podcast of Doc's Daily Dose for Dads. So if you've subscribed, if you've checked out what I've been doing, I've been dropping daily 10 to 15 minute, 5 to 15 minute shorts, right, on a very specific topic, giving some advice, suggestions, sharing something from my life, whatever the case may be. And I'm going to continue to do that. But what we're doing is on Wednesdays only, we're going to drop the long format podcast, right? So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you can expect the shorts, the little 5-minute clips, little 10-minute clips, and you can still get that on the podcast, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Google Play Music. Check out the video of those on YouTube, Doc's Daily Dose for Dads. Don't forget to subscribe to that. But on Wednesdays, we will have long format. Now, what does that long format mean? Well, every Wednesday at 8 p.m., you'll get a podcast/video webcast of something like this that will last anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. Now, I do like to talk. Obviously, I do podcasts and webcasts. I let's keep it real. I like to hear my own voice. So you will get some of these podcasts where it's just me telling stories, giving tidbits, giving advice, ranting, going off the beaten path. Like, who knows what's going to happen, right? Like, I've got my little, sheet of notes, but whether or not I stick to that is a whole different story, okay? And then, but we're also going to have things like interviews. So, for example, I got a really good interview coming up with a gentleman who's a father of 4 or 3. He lost his 4th son before his, first 6 months. He's going to walk us through that story and what it's like to lose a child. It was a powerful, powerful interview. Whether you have children or not, if you can't get with this one, you don't have a heart. Like, it's just good for anybody to hear, especially parents. I'm going to have some coaches on. I'm going to have some players on who are pushed by their parents. I'm going to have some parents who do pushing in sports and some parents who are more kicked back. And we're going to have a little sports dad series that happens during this long format. I've got a guy coming on who is a financial planner, who's actually my financial planner, who will talk to you about some resources for you to be prepared as a father to help take care of your family in the event that, hey, you ain't around anymore, right? So you'll have things like that, interesting topics, interesting stories, resources, all different kinds of things. I also have a woman who's from another country, European country, I believe, who talks about fatherhood from the female perspective, what she would look for in a father, her relationship with her father, right? Because even though this is Doc's Daily Dose for Dads, this is really just for parents. I cater to dads because I am one. But moms watch this too. Wives, sisters, aunts, they watch it too. Daughters. So I want to make sure that I'm covering all grounds here. And if you have any ideas for any shows you want to hear me talk about or any topics you want me to touch on, email me, aharrison@rebirthbx.com. aharrison@rebirthbx.com. All social media @rebirthbx. Now, I am going to have commercials here, but there'll be commercials of just me talking. The good thing is my sponsorships right now are myself. I run my own company, Renaissance Behavior, which are all your sponsorships are going to be brought by. First one up here, I'm actually embarking on a fitness journey. Now, I'm in pretty good shape, I think, right? It may not look like it because I'm over here sweating in 100-degree weather, but, for someone who's in his mid-30s, 3 kids, hasn't, been a competitive athlete in, over a decade, like, I kept myself together in my working out. But I'm not where I want to be, right? I'm not what I used to be. I don't know if I'll ever get back there, but I'm definitely not where I really want to be in terms of physical fitness. So I'm going to start going on that journey, and I've already started. I'm going to start documenting that for you guys. I'm putting up a section on the website that's all about health and fitness, and some of the workouts that I do and the ways I approach it. And one of the ways I approach it is with CBD oil, right? Now, if you don't know, CBD is not THC. It's not the psychoactive component in marijuana that gets you high. CBD is made from the stock of the hemp plant. It's where all the medicinal properties, the things we use for paper, clothes. One of the first Ford Model Ts was made out of hemp and ran on hemp oil. I use that as post-workout stuff with respect to my recovery and inflammation. I sell those products. I'm going to be posting up on the website how you can get to those. It'll have a link to go straight to my store. You can buy everything from personal products to products for your pet. You can also buy products for beauty, skincare, all made from 100% pure CBD. You can also buy things like clothes and stuff. So go check it out. I think we're going to call it Fitness and Wellness tab on the webpage. It should be up before the week's over. Let's get back to the show. One of the first things I want to touch on in this first show is what I've been doing with my son. And I've mentioned it in some of the short videos. My oldest, and now all of my kids, they are really getting into video games, especially this Fortnite shit, which I won't let them play. One, because like it's a shoot 'em up game. And he's 9, we got a 6 and a 4. Like, they don't need to be running around shooting things up. But 2, you play it with other players online where you can hear them speak. And I don't want him sitting in the living room going back and forth with a 45-year-old man on the other end who's saying who knows what to him or making him feel this big or maybe even going a wrong route, like just total pedophilia route. Like, I don't want any of that, right? But we tried to engage them with the video game thing. I was never really a video game player. I always played outside, but I was like, hey, Super Nintendo, NES, regular Nintendo, Sega Genesis, they've got all these old school gaming consoles where it's already got like 80 to 400 games installed on them. So we got one of the Sega Genesis, and I got to admit, when we plugged that thing in, I was super excited to play it with the kids. And then I was like, bro, these graphics are horrible. Like, I can't believe we thought this shit was tight back in the day. Like, I don't even want to play this. This Mortal Kombat sucks. I saw some of my football players playing Mortal Kombat during our football camp, the new, like, Xbox Mortal Kombat. That blows Sega Genesis out of the water. Yeah, there's some nostalgia to the fact that it's Sega, but, like, no, bro. Like, I understand why the kids don't really want to play it, but they play it because they don't have any other gaming console. So my son was like, I really want an Xbox or a PlayStation. And so we went to Target, and I wasn't really sure how much they cost nowadays, and I checked it out. Man, an Xbox One X is $500. A basic PlayStation 4 is like $300. I was like, I'm not forking out that for a gaming console at 9 years old. Like, no way in the world. But I don't want to deprive you and just say no. So I came up with the idea, well, if you earn it, actually work for it and collect your own money and buy it yourself, then you can have it. And so we sat down and we came up with ideas of how it could work for it. And it wasn't like clean your room and I'll give you $10. No, that's a regular chore you got to do. So we had things like wash my car, but I was giving them like $5 for that. I'm not going to give you a $20 bill for washing my car because 1, you're 9 years old. 2, I got a big ass Chevy Silverado pickup truck, all black on black with a little goofy trailer hitch on the back. It's tight as hell. And you can't even reach, the roof of the car. Like, how in the world are you actually going to clean this accurately? So, $5 will do. Or I got a little project. I'm a sucker for late night infomercials. So like anything I see late night that looks really cool as seen on TV, I buy that stuff. So that green stuff you hook to your hose to spray on the lawn that's supposed to grow grass. Yeah, I totally bought that. So we're trying to, patch up some of the backyard. Well, his project is to pull out the weeds, rake out the rocks, kind of plow the land so that it's nice, even soil. I'll give you some money for that. And then he was like, all right, but it's a heat wave in California. We're looking at 110, 111 degrees right now. Do I really want him out there picking weeds at that time? Like, I don't care. He doesn't care either, but I don't want to put him through that much of a ringer. So we're like, well, what else could he do? And we came up with the idea of, well, you could recycle cans and bottles, right? We have them in the house. You can find them everywhere. You can save them in the back of the garage, and we'll take them to go get turned in. Now, I got to say, I'm pretty proud of my son and my other two ones as well who are helping. First off, any money they get for anything, whether it be money they find on the floor, money grandma and grandpa gives them for no reason or for a birthday, they're throwing it in a collective pot. Like they're teaming up, and it's about teamwork at this point. Every dollar they're making, they're putting in together. No one's like, well, this is my money. I'm going to do this with mine, and I'm only going to put 50% in the pot. Now they're throwing every single penny they earn or find into the pot. And I love that. That level of teamwork is amazing, right? Second, my son, the oldest one, he's been on it. Anytime there's a bottle or a can or anything left over, first thing he does, snatch it up and go put it in the recycling bin in the back of the garage to save it. If we're driving somewhere and he sees it, he'll grab it, throw it in the back of my truck, and as soon as we get home, he'll go save it. Then he was like, Dad, when is trash day? And I was like, well, Tuesday. He's like, could we wake up at like 6:30 and go out and go through people's recycling and pull out cans and bottles? Now, I know you're not supposed to go through people's trash, but really that rule is for, not looking at mail or private information or whatever. Taking recycling of cans and bottles, people do it in the neighborhood all the time. My son wants an Xbox. He's willing to wake his butt up at 6 a.m. to go out there and dig through a recycling bin up and down the block and bring that back and sort it. I'm all for it, son. So I was like, let me see if he's really down for this. So the first Tuesday, the night before Monday, he was like, Dad, don't forget to wake me up early. So I get up at 4, I go get my meditation, my workout in, come back home, wake him up. He's up, out the bed, fully dressed, socks and shoes, shorts and shirt within like 2 minutes. I mean, it takes this kid 15 minutes to get ready for school or anything else we got to do. But for that, he was up and ready to go. And he legit went from the end of the block all the way down one side, back down the other, getting cans and bottles. And he did it for 3-4 weeks straight and continues to do it. And I applaud him for it. And the funny thing, too, is I get to teach him a little something about confidence and how it scares other people. Because there are some times when there are people outside and I'm like, well, if someone's in their front yard, don't go through their trash. Just be respectful. Like, you can ask them or we'll just keep it pushing to the next house. If someone's just like walking their dog, don't get scared, right? If you are doing things in a confident manner, most people won't say a word to you. Sure enough, I'm like, just follow my lead. Walking up, just opening stuff where people walking their dogs or going about their day. No one said anything, but we did have 2 people say something. First one was one of our neighbors who was fixing his garden or his front lawn. And his first thing was, oh, someone already came around earlier this morning and took everything. And I was like, yeah, but we're still going to look. My son, he's saving up for a PlayStation, Xbox. And he was like, I respect it, man. That's awesome. Like, good job. Like, you're teaching him hard work. And I'm like, yeah, I am. I'm teaching him to work for what he wants, go after what he wants and go get it. Right. So like that was a good positive feeling for me. That person reinforced what I was doing as a parent. And then about 3 recycling bins later, there were some workers who were doing some security camera installations on a home, ironically enough. And the guy was like, hey, man, excuse me. And I'm like, what's up, bro? And he's like, how old's your son? I'm like, he's 9. He's like, I respect it. Teaching him work young, man. Like, I wish my dad would have showed me, the concept of making $1 and what it takes to earn and put in the effort, especially early in the morning like this at 9 years old. He was like, much props to you. And I knew then that I was on the right track with what I was doing, right? I already knew before that, but to get that reinforcement from other people of like, good job showing your son the right way, I was all for it. Now, I had another plan in store for him. I was like, when he goes and turns this stuff in, he's going to get maybe $10 max. And all that hard work, I want to see his face. How is he going to respond to this? So we went and turned the first cans and bottles in. And he got like $8.61 or something. And he was kind of bummed out. And I was like, all right, son, you got 3 options. Option number 1, you can quit. You can stop all this altogether. Find something else to do. Option 2, you can double down, triple down, and work even harder. Go to even more blocks, collect even more cans and bottles, go to the recycling center 4 times a week instead of once a week. Or you can figure out a way to work smarter, not harder, by maybe bringing some friends in on it, thinking of it as a business to where you're not necessarily putting in all the work, but you're reaping the benefit of, the profit on top. And his first response was, I'm just going to work harder. And I was like, okay, not everybody's meant to own a business. Some people are just double down hard workers. Put your head into the sand and keep moving. And so he did that. But then the next time he went, he got $6. And he felt like he worked twice as hard. So he came to me and he was like, I got to rethink this, Dad. And I was like, yeah, I told you, work smarter, not harder. And he's like, but I don't really understand that. And I was like, well, you see this fence out here in the backyard? I can go board by board and pound those in one by one and put them up and pound them in one by one and walk across the yard, pick up the next plank. Or I can bring all the planks over, line them all up, get a nail gun and shoot them down in a row. Or I can find somebody to do it for cheaper than I was contracted to do it, pay them their fee. I take the money off the top that is less than I would have made doing it myself maybe, but I wasn't out there in the 100-degree weather putting up the fence. And so he started thinking, and I could see the wheels turning. And he was like, well, how do I do that with cans and bottles? And I gave him a hint. I was like, well, is there anywhere or anybody you can talk to ask about cans and bottles? And he was thinking, and he was like, well, what about school? And I was like, you do have recycling centers or bins at school. And I know the maintenance people. You think I could easily pull them to the side and say, hey, my son has a question for you. And you can ask him, hey, what do you guys do with the cans and bottles you recycle here? Would you be willing to set them aside for me? And that's when it clicked for him. Smarter, not harder. So that's the plan for tomorrow. He's going to talk to the maintenance people and be like, hey, these recycling, can I just take the bags? I'll sort through it. All the other trash I'll throw away on my own in a dumpster. And we're going to see how many different places will let him do that. Start his own little business. You know what's crazy? Between the cans and the bottles, the little projects here and there, gathering up change and taking it to the bank's coin change machine, within a matter of 3 weeks, I think, these kids have already got $100. Now, I do have a surprise for him because he's saying he wants to get the PlayStation, but I know he really wants the Xbox One X. But he wants the PlayStation because it's cheaper and he wants to get to it faster. But the PlayStation's $300, Xbox One X or whatever it is $500. If this kid gets to $250, which I know he will, if these kids get to $250, I'm going to match it. Because he deserves it. He really put in the work for what he wanted, and that I will reward. So, son, reach that $250. I got the other $250 for you. We'll be playing Xbox. We won't be playing no damn Fortnite, but we'll be playing some Madden or some of them other games, okay? All right, let's move on here. Another thing that is of interest of me lately is staying connected. And it got brought up on multiple occasions. And this is one for you as I won't say a child, but as someone who's an adult who has parents who are still alive, right? As we grow older and we become adults, we start to do our own things, have our own stuff going on, and we're not as connected. I mean, think about it. Growing up, if you were lucky, you saw your parents every day. They're with you every single day of your life, right? But as you get older and you start having your own kids and you got work and everything else, all these responsibilities, you don't see your parents as often, if at all. Some people don't see their parents in months or except for holidays. But if they live right nearby or if they live far away, quite frankly, I don't think there's an excuse for you not to be connected with them. Now, the first way this got brought up was My wife has a really good relationship with her parents. Now, she talks to her mom through FaceTime once a day. And that's a bit much for me. Like, I don't want to talk to anybody through FaceTime once a day, except maybe my kids. But see how that works for her mom? She wants to talk to her daughter every day. And my wife indulges that. And as my wife stopped being, making it feel forceful and started to have a better adult relationship with her mom, it's become something of pleasure for her. It's consistent. I'm sure she's already talked to her today, maybe even while I was doing this video, who knows? And it made me think about how often I stay in contact with my parents and my sister. Now, we usually see them often because they'll come watch the kids, or actually they're in there now. They just stop by to say hey to the kids. Whenever we have barbecues or family holidays or pay-per-view events, my house is the one that holds them, so people are here. But I don't know if that's enough. My sister moved out of the house. She's married now. Her oldest daughter is about to be in high school. She's got a new baby on the way, a baby girl. They're going to name Dallas. And it's the first time in 35 years my parents have ever had a house to themselves. That's got to be kind of scary. All of a sudden, you're alone. There's no children around, whether they're grown adult children, teenagers, or youngsters, or toddlers or babies. They're just not there. Now the house is all quiet. And I'm sure it's fun at first. You walk around naked. You can do all kind of crazy stuff. Cook naked if you want to. Watch any movie you want to. Kick back, stay up, go to sleep. Be messy. Whatever it is you want to do. Be super clean. But that passes. And you start to miss the interaction inside your home. And I thought, am I being a good enough son? Am I staying connected enough? And then recently I did a podcast on the Derek Relaford show. And he was talking about how he's estranged from his father, and his father's kind of a dick to him, and how he responds back and takes jabs at his father, and how his father was like, he got real pissed off at the whole Trump immigration separation of children thing, and he Facebooked his dad a message like, why are you all upset? You were never in my life type thing. And one of the things I told him was like, what is that doing for you? Right? And he's like, well, I did send him an email saying I got kids. I want you to be a part of their life. And he ate crow, right? He ate shit about it and just apologized for a lot of stuff he didn't feel he needed to. And I was like, good for you. But after that, did you keep reaching out? Did you say each month, hey, you got time to come see the kids? Hey, you want to FaceTime the kids? Sometimes being the bigger person isn't a one-time action. Sometimes you have to do that consistently. Sometimes that other person may never get it. His dad may never step up. But you don't need to resort to his level and take those jabs. Stay being the bigger person. Keep trying. Keep being consistent with that. Regardless of whether or not it works out, you will feel way better about how you approached it instead of being all pissed off and taking jabs. So I've decided I'm going to follow suit of my wife and start being a little more connected with my family. And now I'm really close with my family. I love them to death. I hug them every time I see them. But I could be more connected. So I can't do every day. I don't, like I said, I don't want to talk to anybody on FaceTime every day except if it's my kids. But that makes me think of the perspective of my parents. So what I'm going to do is on Monday, 6 p.m., I'm going to call my mom. Chat with her for as long as I need to just to catch up. On Tuesday, 6 p.m., I'm going to call my dad. Chat with him, shoot the shit. And on Wednesday, 6 p.m., I'm going to call my sister. Chat with her and shoot the shit. And I'm going to do that weekly. And I'm going to tell them on the first one, I just want to call every week on this day at this time so you know that's when I'm calling, just to catch up with you. Stay connected to your family. At the end of the day, it's the only thing you really got in this world. Your family, your loved ones. If you don't have family and you feel like you're all alone, do it with a friend. One of my good friends from Iowa, Jesse. I talk to Jesse once a month. Me and Jesse hop on a call. He lives in Iowa. We get on a phone call. We stay on for about 3 hours. And we just chat about anything and everything. We just stay connected. And that once a month talk really works for us. And then once a year, either I go visit him in Iowa, and recently he came and visited me here in California. And it's just a great relationship to have, right? And I'm going to extend that to my family even further than the relationship that we already have. And it's something that I think you should do. And the reason I think you should do it is because think about when you get older. When you're sitting back and you're 80, 85 years old, and let's say it's just you and your spouse, or maybe your spouse has passed on, don't you want to hear from your kids consistently? Don't you want to hear how they're doing? Don't you hope that they check up on you? If that's what you want for your life when you're older with your family, well, start doing it now with the loved ones you already have around you, all right? And that's how I want to close this out for today, is making sure you're staying connected. Like I'm trying to stay connected with you here and giving you more and more content. So next week, Wednesday, 8 p.m., expect the long format to drop. We got a awesome guest, a young man who grew up in the same neighborhood, same area of Pasadena as I did, same time. It's the story of him as a father, some of the projects he's working on, how he's a dad of 2 girls, 1 older boy. He also talks about the loss of his young toddler infant before he, I believe, turned 6 years old. It's a heart-wrenching story, but it's one that people should hear, especially parents. So check that out tomorrow. I'm going to have guest Paco Schwartz on. Again, you can catch all of these at Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Google Play Music, rebirthbx.com, the website. All the social media is at rebirthbx. We're going to start posting this on IGTV as well. Also go to YouTube, type in Doc's Daily Dose for Dads. You'll see a picture of my 3 boys dressed up for, like their Christmas picture. We've never done it before, but my wife really wanted it. I was kind of like, that shit's corny to me. But it turned out to be a great, great, great picture. They just look super happy and genuine in that picture. So you'll see their face. Subscribe to Doc's Daily Dose for Dads. I'm not going nowhere. I'm going to keep providing this content and this value for you. And as always, for the rest of the week, you'll catch my shorts. So that's Doc's Daily Dose for Dads. Don't forget to hashtag Doc's Daily Dose for Dads, hashtag 4D, all social media at rebirthbx, website rebirthbx.com. Hit the subscribe button, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music. I'll get back at y'all tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed the first long format. And sorry, I'm sweating over here like a stuck pig. Like, it's hot, bro. My bad. I'm going to try to get a fan or something to keep this down.